Okay, we are recording. All right. So we got 16 people in the audience already. Cool. Mitch is saying he finally made it. Glad you're here. What's up? Just relax. Lord Vader, Bob, Atomic Punk, Davey. What's up? TK, Tiki Barman. What's up, man? What's up, Abil? Spicoli. Saren? Not sure how you say your name. New York City Greek. Tali. Crypto Gale. Limp Beast, Timber Sky. What's up? What's up, everybody? So I don't have one Prisma NFT. Damn, unlucky me. Well, just relax. Someone might put one up for sale, and you never know. You might be able to get it. Anyways, there's some interesting stuff that has come out in the past week, and so we just wanted to do our regularly scheduled weekly recap with Moongod and just have him update us on what's going on, because he knows how to talk about it better than I do. And yeah, so I don't know. Let's just go ahead and get this started then. I think there's enough people here, and I'm recording it, so if anybody misses any of this, I'll post it on my YouTube channel. So don't you worry.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just kind of start with this. We had two small updates that we had to do to the bot. The first one was a situation where some of the trades that we're going through were not using the proper order functionality. Where in some instances they were doing market trades versus limit orders and vice versa kind of thing. So we got that fixed. We didn't realize it was happening until that larger trade went through, because it closed out using a market order, not a limit order. So we found that out because that larger trade actually did not close at the position that we had specifically put it in for. It actually closed slightly worse due to slippage. So in theory, with the process that we kind of had there, it could have done anywhere from about 10-20% to upwards of 50% better.
Wow.
So instead of it being at about 5.4%, it could have done closer to about 7 to 8% in one day, which is absolutely
Damn.
insane.
Yeah,
Um,
that's crazy.
yeah, so very much so a case where that would have been like the top end of it. It could have done, like 6.25, or could have done 6, could have done 5.75 or something. But it could have, in theory, done all the way up to potentially like 8-9%. But yeah, I mean, that just is the unfortunate situation there where, we kind of, that's the reason why we're using a smaller amount. That was kind of the, I guess we'll call it like vindication for being like, hey, this is the reason why we're putting in smaller amounts, testing through, making sure that we're not rushing anything out the door, because a situation like this, we thought we had everything in place, everything was working fine, orders were going through without any kind of issue, and then come to find out when, our bot goes through and takes full advantage of like a home run situation, come to find out, it did potentially 30 to 40% worse than what we think it could have done, simply on the fact that it placed a market order and the slippage on that was absolutely crazy. So good news is we got that fixed. The
Nice.
other thing that we had going on as well too is the initial um, leverage that we were using on the sub account was too low. It was like using 10x leverage, so some trades were not placing, in terms of like it should be copy trading from main account to sub account effectively. But because the leverage was too low, it was a situation where it actually wasn't placing those trades; they weren't going through. So we fixed that as well too. That was all done on the fly without taking the bot down. No
Nice.
issue there at all. And we have increased I believe the total amount that we have is just a little over $7,000 in each bot now. So we've got the 7,000 in the ITF bot, and we've got the 7,000 in the Prisma One NFT bot. And yeah, that we did that today. Moved everything over and started kind of making some of those conversions. And yeah, we're gonna let that ride a week or two, see how it does. And the ITF portion of it should be fully up and running. We're hoping by next week, and we're hoping that we can add about another $10,000 next week as well. Anyone that's kind of tracking our treasury, you'll see that we moved about $40,000 worth over into the trading account, and the reason for that is we pretty much wanted to reduce those fees almost immediately. So, as an example of such, the fees that we have to we have to fork over to the CEX, effectively, we're now saving about 17% on that, which is awesome.
Yeah,
It's a
that's great.
situation where we're going to be going from just kind of eking out a couple of things in some situations to a much higher return. So just think about it. That's almost a 1/5 increase in the amount that we're making just simply on the fact that we've reduced those costs that we have on the back end side of placing trades, which is great. That just, means more profit, and it means that the funds that we're putting in have longer legs underneath them as well too. So absolutely fantastic.
That's
Um,
amazing. That is
yeah.
amazing.
So yep. So didn't want anybody to panic if they happen to look at the treasury and were like, "Why are they moving stuff around? What's going on with this?" You're going to slowly ramp this up. I didn't want you guys to think that anything weird was happening. It's just very much so a case that once we hit that like 50K threshold in the account, effectively we see a massive reduction in the fees that we are dealing with at that point in time.
Hmm.
And so we actually ended up, I think the total account or the total amount in the account, because it aggregates everything, so both the main and the sub account, which is even better. So we only had to move about 40,000 over versus having to move a full 50,000 over, because we've still
Hmm.
got about 17,000 on the ITF side of things. So that took care of the extra 10,000. Then we've got about 7,000 extra. So yeah, it's really in a position where we want it to be, getting ready for the next steps in the market here. Um, we are looking into a couple of additional functions. Hadn't brought this up to the one team yet, but me and Callie were actually taking the weekend to kind of look into the perpetual decks side of pancake swap. So a lot of people have asked about it, and perpetuals and things like that. So in theory, we might actually be able to use that within our system. We'd have to test it with like much smaller amounts. But it was one of those things where uh, we were laughing about it. They have a degen mode where you can get up to 750x leverage, which was kind of a little hilarious to us. We were like, yeah, forget trading with like $1 million or anything like that. We'll just throw like $200 in there, see what happens.
So
So
what's this about the perpetual decks? Why? What's the interest in wanting to do that?
it works effectively the same as the CEX, but we don't have funds on the CEX. So the positive with like, if Pancake Swap's perpetual decks allows us to, to trade, we are not having to lock up effectively our funds on a CEX and have them where we can't get them if something bad goes wrong with it. They remain in our wallet, in our setup, and that's the huge positive with it as well too. The negative that you run into with it is, a perpetual deck similar to like Pancake Swap, Switch, even like Foxify or anything like that, which are doing perpetuals as well and some option trading. The issue that you run into there is you have to have the liquidity on it in order to be able to really kind of um, manifest it being worthwhile. So you can't run into a situation where, like what we were talking about with the Warfi team, where it's like if there's not enough liquidity there, you may not be able to close out a trade exactly when you want. And so that's kind of one of the things that we're kind of keeping an eye on, because one of our biggest fears and our biggest worries is not that our bot is going to fail us, it's that the CEX is going to fail us. And if we can move out of that kind of a situation, it ends up being much more positive. Now, obviously, there's a whole battery of tests that we'd have to go through, and we were just kind of looking at it for the fun and just kind of eyeballing it a little bit. But yeah, there'd be a lot that would go into that. But it's one of the things that we are considering over here as well. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up to everybody and say, hey, just kind of, if you see any of that stuff where you think like, oh, Switch or Pancake Swap or X, Y, and Z is doing perpetuals, shoot us a message. We're always looking for that kind of stuff. If they've got the liquidity to back it, and our bot can be integrated into it, which shouldn't be too much of an issue, we'd love to check it out, even if we're starting with, like, say, $500 or $1,000 or something like that. But that would be like treasury funds, and we'd test it out, over a much longer period of time than we would like a CEX. So, yep.
Yeah, Mitch is actually asking the questions.
Sorry, I forgot to breathe for a second there. You're muted as well, Oliver. I don't know if you're asking.
Yeah, I muted myself just in case the background noise was causing the sound to not be great, because there's a couple people in the comments saying the sound was breaking up. You sound fine to me, so I don't know. I hope it sounds okay for you guys. I always have audio issues, and I never know why. So hopefully it's okay. But yeah, Mitch is asking, do you think the perpetual DEX would be utilized for ITF funds or NFT funds or both? And is this something that would replace the CEX completely in time if testing goes well?
So this would be a situation where we are not going to postpone anything with the ITF or the NFT funds. So I don't want people to think that, oh, hey, we looked at this Pancake Swap perpetual DEX. We're going to put everything on hold. We're going to wait for that to come through. We're going to, the whole 9 yards with it. No, we're not going to do that. It would very much so be a case where this is something that we would like test out on the side. We want to make sure that the ITF and the NFT funds are trading through what we've already tested, have no issues with it, and kind of continue forward. But yeah, we are looking at some options there that would be done on the side, and that wouldn't be something where it's like, yeah, next week we're going to just like throw funds at it. It would be a little ways down the road. Probably the earliest we would look at doing something like that would be like late Q1 of next year, maybe Q2 at the earliest. And that's just time frame wise and stuff like that. There's a lot of other stuff that we have going on, and we want to make sure are in place first. So it's just more or less a like, hey, just here's something cool that we've been kind of looking at on this side. And just, the positive again with that is the biggest flaw that we face being on a CEX is that the tokens are not ours. So like if something happens with the CEX or whatever it is, we have to deal with that, we may not be able to get the funds out, which is gut wrenching, and so we're always looking at those options outside of that.
Yeah, that was my question. Is a perpetual DEX safer? Let me ask.
The funds are still in your wallet. Yep.
Okay, cool. New York City Greek is asking, so what were the overall returns for the week since the last AMA? And let me ask, is the washing machine like super loud in the background? Because if it is, I'll mute myself.
I can't hear anything.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So the last week returns were 0.52%. So it was a little bit of a low week, in terms of volatility. Not a lot really going on. Which brings our entire amount up to about 6.7% on the month so far. This was a little bit of I guess we'll call it a quote-unquote shorter week, because the last one was an 8-day period, we had the extra day where we added in Tuesday as well too. So this week we didn't account for that. It's just the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday situation. So this one is a slightly shorter week at just 6 days, just because of the way that we kind of changed that up and did the math on it. But the total amount is about 6.7% on the month so far. Or if you add 6 days to 17, you get 23 days. So on 23 days, it was about 6.7%. So yep, that's about where we're at, which is again, not a bad situation to be in. We aren't ratcheting up the risk on this to try and, get wins on low volatility days, because, you never know when something could spike up. So we are very much so maintaining the same trading style and positioning that we've been in before. Which means that, on these lower volatility days, it's not going to eke out as much of a profit. But on some of those higher volatility days, it's really got those legs to run that we kind of talked about. And that just means that we don't have to worry about those risk factors as well. So very much so trying to just, let the bot do its thing. I do updates like we talked about every single week. So things kind of can fluctuate and change week to week. But if we're looking at it over a 23-day period, 6.7% is absolutely fantastic. Any S&P 500 company would love to have a 6.7% quarter, and we've got that in 23 days. So it's definitely a case for us where we're very happy with kind of where it's at. We're kind of feeling the pressure in the market as well too, coming up to the halving. Bitcoin is kind of taking a bit of a front seat to that as well. And it's a case where we've seen kind of some of the secondary tokens kind of fall off a little bit. So Ethereum's not trading nearly as much as people getting prepped for like Bitcoin going into the halving. So it's all pretty much par for the course. Exactly what we were expecting to kind of happen going in this time frame and direction, so to speak, with the crypto.
I gotcha. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see what next week's performance is, because it'll round out the month, and we might get up to 10% this month. That's a possibility, because last week we saw how much did it make last week? Like 4.7% or something like that, or I think it was even more than that.
It did four.
What was it?
It did, I believe, a total of 5.4% on that week.
Yeah. So it seems
So
like
it was a wild.
Yeah, I'm just going off of like 3 weeks of data, but we had a slow week, a really good week, and then this is a slow week. Maybe next week will be a really good week. Maybe we'll do that like every other week will be. I mean, obviously it's a very small amount of data. I'm just, being Captain Obvious over here. New York City Greek is asking how many round trips were placed over the 6-day period. I guess he means over the past, over the 6 day. Moongod, you hear me? No. Did we lose him? Yeah, I think you're muted.
14 total.
Oh. 14 total.
When I tab, I'm on Buck. When I tab over.
14 total. All right. Seems to be lagging one. Okay. He's having some technical difficulties. Let's see what I can add to this conversation. Mitch is saying, sounds sensible, worth getting V2 of Prisma token out first. I guess risk mitigation is always good. Audio is chalked for me. Chalked, is that bad? I don't know. I wonder if I should have restarted my computer. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Moongod, you hear me?
I can hear you. Sorry about that.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate that. They're.
Can you hear me, Oliver, or no?
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. All right, yeah. So it was 14 round trips in terms of trades. And it was a total of 100% win rate still. So that brings our win rate for the entire 23 days to 49 over 49. So we're still swinging 100% here, which
Sweet.
is exactly kind of where we're looking to be. Just maintaining that ratio to to the best of our ability again, which is part of the reason why we're not ratcheting up the risk in any way, shape, or form. We're just trying to kind of maintain exactly what we're doing and continue down that same path. Yep,
Cool.
very, very stable and consistent is what we're kind of shooting for here.
Yeah. Right on. Right on. These weekly New York City Greek is saying these weekly stat metrics are important to consistently disclose. Yep.
Yep.
And go ahead.
And I was just going to give a quick update associated with that as well too, and um, the information that'll be posted on the website. We are working on that on our side over here. We don't have a specific time frame for when that'll be out still, but all of those will be on, um, I'm going to say behind that NFT wall, where you have to kind of have the NFT connect with the wallet that's got the NFT. You'll be able to see that information in there without any kind of issue. How many trades are placed, the current win rate, profit so far for the month, profit so far, I believe, for the year is what we're doing as well. And then I think we're doing like a trailing 1 year, and then I think we're doing like eventually we'll be doing like I believe a trailing 3, 5, 10, and then all time. So yeah,
Cool.
those are some of the things that we kind of have decided to go that direction with it, to be able to provide those metrics. And again, those numbers will kind of be updated with about that, like we talked about, 2 to 3 day delay. So it'll be a situation where Monday's trades will show up on probably like Wednesday, and it'll update the like we'll say it's gone from 9 trades this week to 32 trades this week or something like that, as of like the adjustment from Sunday to Monday. Like Monday there were 3 trades placed, kind of example. So yep, that'll all be in there. Payouts, returns so far, so that way you guys can see what the projected payouts are based on the returns. Sorry, oxygen's a little hard after this past week.
You're good, man.
But yeah,
You're good.
all that's going to be.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah,
Uh,
and I had kind of you can go ahead and finish your thought, Moongod, if you want.
oh no, I was just going to say, is there any is there anything you wanted to add there, Oliver? Because I know we talked about it.
Um, I had kind of let everybody know that there was some cool news coming out, and the cool news, if you joined us late, Moongod was saying that they figured some things out. That Moongod, you want to repeat that, like what you guys figured out this past week that should help the bot to I don't know, to get every bit of profit out of each trade now.
Yeah, so it actually comes down to 3 things. Because we're adding the one thing that we did today to it. But the first 2 were updates that we had to make to the code. The first one being that it was inaccurately placing some market versus limit orders, and kind of vice versa in some situations. So we've cleaned that up and fixed that. Should result in with any kind of crazy.
Oh, I can't hear you, buddy.
Sorry,
You're good.
my son just kind of like kicked in the door and thought he was gonna come in here and just start screaming and yelling. So we were able to fix that without having to pull the bot down, do any kind of maintenance there, and got that working the way we're expecting it to work, which means that we could see anywhere from about a 10 to 50% increase in some of those home run style situations. So in terms of like using this past week where it did like 5.4% on that one trade, it could have potentially been closer to 6 to 8%, maybe upwards as high as like 9% on that one trade.
Wow.
The likelihood of that again would have to be like a perfect storm of a situation there. But we figure it probably could have eked out closer to about that 6.5, maybe 7%, which would have just been even better. So we got that fixed. The second thing that we were dealing with as well too, and this is part of the reason why we wanted to start with those smaller amounts, we ran into a situation where in implementing the bot on the sub account, which is how the NFT bot trades, because the primary account is our ITF and the sub account is the NFT. It was not using proper leverage, so it just wasn't placing some trades. We got that fixed, no issue with that going forward. That was done and fixed basically, first day of us realizing what was going on there. And then
And
the
it was
third thing
fixed
is
quickly, right? Like you guys didn't even have to stop the trading. Yeah.
Yeah, like it literally was like a flip a switch kind of thing. So we fixed that as soon as Callie realized what was going on with that. He was able to fix it without any kind of issue. The third thing is kind of twofold here. We moved about 200 BNB over from the Prisma Treasury, which is where we were housing the BNB that you guys used to purchase the Prisma One NFTs. We moved that over to the trading account on the CEX, and that's roughly about $40,000 is what it ended up being. We've adjusted the BNB over to the USDT that we're going to be trading with. So there's going to be $7,000 in the NFT bot and $7,000 in the Prisma ITF. And the total amount that we have in there has allowed us to place trades at effectively what's their VIP level 1, which decreases the amount of fees that we pay by 17%, which is huge.
Yeah,
like most
nice.
people don't think about it in terms of, hey, how much is going on? But you have to remember, like, as the amount that you're trading gets higher and higher and higher, the fees that you pay that are associated get higher as well too. So that 17% reduction is massive. So 3 big things. One of them today more than the other 2. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. We're really excited to kind of get this going and get the ball rolling. We believe that as long as everything goes smoothly, the ITF will be fully funded by our next run through here. So Monday of next week, that's the hope, that nothing goes sideways and we don't have any issues we have to fix. And so that should be fully trading by next week. We are hoping to add in an additional $10,000 to roughly $20,000 to the NFT bot, roughly at about the same time as well. So the ITF on the Prisma side will be fully trading everything it's got, and we're looking to add a minimum of $10,000 next week, assuming we don't run into any kind of issues here as well. So,
sweet,
great situation.
Yeah, awesome. Moongod is asking, or Mystic Dragon is asking you, Moongod, are you guys using any kind of leverage right now or plan to do so in the future? And if so, what is the threshold/limit of that?
Yeah, so we use 100x leverage at the highest amount. And that is our cap/limit, whatever you want to call it. Like, I know some other, bot trading places were using much more egregious amounts, and upwards of like even sometimes 1,000x leverage and things like that. We're never going to do anything like that. Ours tops out at 100x leverage, and that's our limit there. We'll never pass that. That is all that we feel comfortable using with the given situation, in the market, and with the funds that we're effectively in control of here. So yeah, that is the most it'll ever get up to.
Yep, just want this to be long term, so gotta keep that money safe.
Exactly. And again, that's where, I don't know anyone that was, I don't know how many people were here last week for the slash Warhaven, AMA that we did there with them. That is definitely one of the things that we kind of are following in their footsteps is, their goal isn't some outrageous 1000x leverage craziness or anything like that. They're looking for that consistent returns. Ours has got a little bit of a different process that it kind of goes through on our side over here, which is how we kind of sometimes manage to potentially eke out a little more returns than they have, but it's definitely a case where ours kind of swings a little bit more than theirs does in terms of like they had 1 month where I think the past month they did 4%, we did like 4.8 kind of thing. So it's just slightly different methods of trading, but both of us have that same mentality that we want to keep funds safe. So yeah, that's the most important thing for us.
Yeah, I was actually just listening to their AMA about a couple hours ago. It was Warfi's anniversary. I don't know what anniversary because I think they've been trading for 2 years now. So, but yeah, it's just really cool. It's encouraging to see, how they're doing it, and I mean, we can learn things from them. And honestly, I think they're learning things from you guys too, Moongod, because the thing that I heard in their AMA today is they're trying to make it more automated, which is what you guys have been striving to do from the beginning. So I thought that was kind of cool. I was like thinking to myself, I wonder if Coach Andrew got that idea from you guys. I don't
Well,
know.
I will say the automation part for us more so than anything else is because we don't have a team the same size that they do. So it's automation by necessity is really what it comes down to
Well,
for us. Because
they're actually
yeah,
their goal is to have a smaller team to save money, to then
yeah,
bring those savings
and
to
more
the
profits for
investors.
the holders. Yeah. And that's one of the big things for us is that we're wanting to get to that point where we can just kind of like maybe once or twice a day we can kind of take a look at it, make sure nothing is breaking or exploding on us or anything like that. But it really kind of allows us to do the other things that we want to do. So that's where the automation side for us is extremely important. Is that we want this thing to be able to run so that way we can continue to build and do additional things for the community because if we didn't want to get those things we could absolutely kind of have that process where we have to have like one or two people just like sitting here staring at a computer screen all day long, and that's their entire job, but
Yeah.
we don't have the money or the manpower to be able to kind of do that. So automation
Yep.
by necessity, and the positive with that as well too is we get to build more stuff for you guys, our communities. So
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Just what? How do they put it? Um, I don't know. It's a very conservative, like financially conservative way to do things. We're not just blowing money on overhead or anything like that. So
you mean we're not being Twitter as of 3 years ago, where they were just giving everybody six-figure salaries and they weren't doing anything? You mean we're
I
not
mean,
doing that,
if
Oliver?
you guys are like having expensive lunches, I don't know anything about it. Is all I'm saying. So, uh, yeah,
Yeah, my lunches
we're more
consist
like
of
Elon.
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, so I don't know what you're talking.
Yep, we're more like Elon Musk's X. But yeah, we will all be enjoying the fruits of these labors though in time. In time. We're just right now we're running real clean right now. Real light,
Yep.
I should say.
So I will just say we can kind of turn it over to any other community members that have got any questions. This one's probably going to be a little bit short since we don't have like a guest speaker or anything like that, and Not a whole bunch of crazy updates. What I would consider a lot of really kind of small pieces of good news.
I have a feeling these are going to eventually start being like 5 minutes long. You're going to come on, tell them how much we made, any news, and I'm going to be like, all right, guys, any questions? And then just wrap it up.
Yeah, well, I always want people to be able to ask questions, and that's part of it for me here is like I'll go on as long as people want to ask questions, but it's very much so a case where I think we're kind of getting to that point where we're kind of following through with a lot of things that we're saying we're going to do. We're trying to make those processes easier for everybody. And I know that, and speaking of which, Naroff just asked the question here. Any word of the DApp for viewing being worked on right now? We have a little bit of stuff kind of going on the Prisma backend side of things. So it'll take a little bit longer. But it is a situation where, we are going to have it, up as quickly as we can. The process to get the API in there running on about a 2-day delay isn't too crazy over the top. It's just, we've got to get both of our devs working on it together. So just a little bit of a conflict right now in terms of timing between those two. So that's the only reason why it's, not got a hard date for it as of yet. But it should be out relatively soon. I think from the last meeting that we had, we're looking to have it out hopefully, like late October, November is kind of the time frame right now that we're looking for. But that would definitely be subject to change. I can't promise anything in that aspect. So yeah, that's the current hope and the dream is about late October, November, and then we're going to add more data and information to it as time goes on to kind of give you guys what you're looking for and what you're asking for. So
we got some questions coming in rapid fire. So Mystic Dragon saying, even though it may or may not be accurate, will the DApp for viewing include an annual projection of earnings?
Probably not. We might have something like a calculator in there that you guys can play with, so you can see like what it would be like if the returns had like varied amounts, or if it was just like, hey, what would it be if we did 46% on the year or something like that. But projected would be a little more difficult for us to kind of do, since we can't really tell what's going to happen in the market in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, we might have as far as I can tell, we can probably do like a calculator in there though, so you guys can kind of play around with different numbers and see what's going on. But what we will have is a tracker for the rewards that we've earned already. So like, as an example of such, we'll say we're like 6 months into this, or into a year. First month we did 10,000, second month we did 8,000, third month we did 12,000, fourth month we did 10,000, fifth month 10, sixth month 10. So it'd be a situation where all of that would be tracked out, and it would be a total of like $60,000 is what's showing over the last 6 months. So that would be broken down into the payout structure that we have as well too. And then based on how many NFTs you have, it would show you what the amount is as of that date. Like if it was cut off at that date, you would have made $1,000 or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out numbers here. Nothing exactly.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, it'll have something like that in it, where it'll show like, hey, here's the rewards that we've earned so far, and with those rewards, here's what your payout would be. If we paid you out, kind of.
What's going on?
I was just reading.
Okay. Tali is saying, it was said in chat this week the team was exploring some other options to launch V2 earlier. Can any info be given on what those options could be?
We're exploring those options throughout the rest of October here. So for the Prisma V2 side of things, we're looking to kind of have some more hard and firm answers regarding that. We have a couple of launch pads that were interested in having us, but they were booked throughout all of 2023. So as we kind of move closer to 2024, we're back in contact with them again, as per their request. So we're hoping that some of those may pan out for us on this side over here. If not, we're still looking at launching early next year. So yep, that's kind of the time frame that we're at. We're kind of using October to really get everything put in place and kind of start everything back up, get some additional eyes back on the Prisma V2 token. We're going to be doing a lot more through Twitter and YouTube, or X and YouTube, however you want to call it now. Posting a lot more about the token in and of itself, and kind of some of the things that we have going on there. The partnerships and the benefits to the partnerships of being with Prisma. And we're going to go over the entire vault system that we've got and everything that's in place there. Definitely make sure that we're going to refer to 1, 2, and 3 token. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I still think they're super undervalued. Don't take that as financial advice, but if you look at the numbers, a little bit undervalued in my opinion. That's kind of the next steps in the process. So, yep. We should have a little more information for you come end of October, early November.
Very cool. Very cool. What do you guys? What were you talking about? Like a launch pad? What's that about?
Yeah, so that would be, like Pink Sail's a launch pad. We had a couple of dexes that have like built-in launch pads.
Would you do like another Pink Sail? I mean, that could.
So in theory, there's some possibilities for it. The issue that we really kind of face is that we don't know if we'd be able to do it like specifically through Pink Sail as like an example, because there's a lot of extra stuff that we would have to do. A great example of that would be, we have to make sure first and foremost that our V1 holders that are sticking with us through V2 and everything, that haven't just, forgotten totally about Prisma as a whole, aren't going to get the short end of the stick here. We don't want this to be a situation where other projects have, gone out and done a V2 launch, screwed over their V1 holders, and then just been like, yeah, we just, more money. So that's not going to happen with us. And the trouble with that is it makes the launchpad process drastically more complicated, because we have to make sure that we've got enough funds set aside and we've got enough tokens set aside for our V1 holders to be made whole, to allow them to continue to hold the tokens, or even sell if they wanted. And then from there, it would be a case where, we can expand that out a little bit further and really kind of, make sure that we can kind of, if we go that process, get those funds in the right place as well too. Without screwing V2 holders. So it's a very tedious process that's going to require a lot of additional little micromanagement things, and some processes that might not be in place through just a standard launch pad where you just close your eyes, click a few buttons, add a contract address, and just move on with your life. So yep, it's going to be a problem.
Pretty much the best thing would be for you guys to like find a way to just become whole again with all the funds, because that way you're not diluting the people who bought originally, by if you were to do like another Pink Sail and bring in more money, without regaining all the money that was lost, it would kind of dilute the holdings of the first
exactly.
So the original investors. Let's see. There's a look after the original holders. Absolutely, Chappie. Absolutely.
Yep, that's definitely the goal, man. And that's one of the things that makes this, it's the harder route, and it's the right route versus the easy wrong route, because like many other projects that people have brought up to us in the past, and the constant worry we've heard from others is, you can go the easy route and, it's the wrong route because it just screws over everyone that partook in, V1, that didn't do anything wrong on their side. They bought in during the Pink Sail, or even they bought in in after the launch, and then we had that exploit occur. And so for us on this side over here, we want to make sure that anyone and everyone that wants to be a part of Prisma, even if they just plan on selling their V2 tokens after they get them, we don't care. It's very much so a case though where we don't want them to feel like they're getting pennies on the dollar for what they originally put in. So it's very much so a case for us on this side where we knew it's going to be the harder route, but we also knew that harder route is the correct and the only path forward for us. If there's no way for us to do it, we're not going to force it. So I just want to make that clear, even if it means that if we get on a potential launch pad and they're talking to us about this and like, yeah, we can do it early January, everything's going to be great, we'll go through this process. But if we can't get it set up to where V1 holders do not get the short end of the stick, like I said, we won't proceed with it. We have a couple of options that we kind of come up with on our side, as like in case of emergency break a glass kind of situations. But those have got to kind of be fleshed out. We got to talk to a lot more people about things and kind of go from there. But yeah, V1 holders are going to be, given their V2 tokens at the same, dollar for dollar and everything. That's always been our goal in getting the funds back. So at a bare minimum, worst case scenario, it'll just be, hey, you got to wait for the bot to farm it back, kind of situation. Yep.
Nice. In the meantime, are you and the team who is the Prisma team right now? It's you and Calais and Sanjay and who else? I think his kids must have run in again.
Hey, sorry, the wife had to stop in for a second. Just
No
was saying
worries.
hi, seeing how we were doing. I told her that everything's going great. Rock stars in here. What was the question one more time? I apologize.
I was just asking who's the team, the Prisma team, because I know you and Calais and Sanjay. Is there anybody else on the team?
Yeah, and then there's Vlad who's on the team with this as well too. He handles pretty much all of our like Discord setup and everything. He also helps me a lot with some of the technical and the crypto side of things, as he's been doing that for a bit of time, as well as a lot of the like the social media stuff. So we kind of go through and do a lot of that planning between me and him together. Getting that stuff set up, and again, he's going to be helping me with the revamp of like the Twitter side of things, YouTube, recommendations on like things to be discussed and talked about in some of those videos as well. And then yeah, he kind of does the overarching technical analysis on a lot of the Ethereum, Bitcoin, and that kind of stuff. And I listen very heavily to the things that he says in that regard as well. And that very much so directs a lot of the traffic and focus that we have regarding the bots, the NFTs. And while I am pretty good at math, and Oliver has given me a lot more compliments and a lot more positivity than that, there's still some things where I'm fairly new to the crypto space. So I definitely listen to others when they bring stuff up, and he's been very spot on with a lot of the recommendations and the directions that he's kind of pointed regarding cryptocurrency and things like that. So while you don't get to hear very much from him, I do listen to a lot of what he has to say, listen to what the ones to say on the back end as well too. So I don't want it to seem like I'm the guy that knows everything. I listen to a lot of people before I make any kind of decisions on my side.
Yep. That's smart. I do too. I always run everything by Yanni and Lucky, and if it has to do with the NFT, then obviously we talk to you as well. So there's a lot of discussion before any decision is made, or before we say anything to you guys.
And I definitely think that's what makes the space better as well too, is like instead of being an isolated ecosystem where we have to kind of try and figure out this stuff on our own, you know, coming together and banding together and kind of, building those connections, with those other teams and the other processes that they kind of use, the things that they've gone through and learned, immensely helpful in a lot of the various situations that we're in. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between the communities that we have here and the projects that we end up working with is that we all have the same mentality where it's like we don't have to be knives at each other's throats kind of thing.
Yeah.
If we put down that vitriol of like, hey, it's gotta all be focused on this one thing or this one token or this one project or this one process, and move to the situation where like, hey, how can interaction between multiple teams and multiple ecosystems that all have the same end goal, which is the community and the end user being of the highest benefit.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of stuff that's much better than you'd ever be able to do on your own. So,
Yep.
like, I mean, a great example is the Prisma One NFTs. Like, on the Prisma side, we hadn't looked at building an NFT in any way, shape, or form. And then we started talking to one team, and here we go with the Prisma One NFT, and you guys sold it out in like a heartbeat on that last day. I think we had like 140 left to go or something like that, and within like 8 hours, everything was sold. So it was just insane.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That
yeah,
was cool. Yep.
so proud to be here, proud to be a part of everything, and I'm loving.
Yeah, man. I'm very proud to have you guys as our partners. I, we can wrap this up. We don't, but I'll just end by saying, I'm very I'm so happy to have the team that I have, Yanni and Lucky, and I'm so happy to have you guys as our partners. Because I mean, couldn't have asked for better people to be around me. So we're doing our part, I think, to make the DeFi better. So I just throwing that out there. um,
Hey man, I couldn't have said it better myself.
and there's also a lot of other good projects out there that we're kind of getting to know. We're getting to know the Warhaven team. Those are really good guys, real knowledgeable and honest people. Um, I'm looking forward to getting to know the Warfi people as well, which it's the same team except for Jason. I don't know Jason yet, but I look forward to talking to him eventually, and just expanding our partnerships and getting to know more people and creating this big um, what I don't know what you call it, but just bringing more honest projects together. So, and RSG, I see Wise Choice Money
Yeah,
mentioned RSG. Ready, set, go. They're working on their token, so that is coming.
I mean,
Uh,
honest DeFi, it's the way to go. Honest money, honest DeFi, and I mean, that's really the biggest thing that we've been kind of pushing in the partnerships that we're trying to forge here. You know, because so many times it's been an extraction of money and wealth from the community and the end user, going into the hands of the team or the project lead or whatever it is, and we're looking to drastically change that. And
mm-hmm.
again, that's part of that space where those projects, those teams that we're looking to partner with, definitely doing that. So
Yep.
be sure to kind of check out some of those that we're doing, because a lot of great people in a lot of great areas there. So yeah,
Absolutely.
but I
All
think we
right.
can leave it with that probably.
Yeah. I'll just say that it's going to be really exciting seeing the continued performance of the bot. I look forward to having all the funds in there, and just seeing what all we can do with this thing. It's going to be really cool to see that over the coming weeks. So thank you, Moon God, as always, for
Absolutely.
being here and informing us on what's going on with the bot. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for joining us. And yeah, Moon God, if you have any final words, I'll leave it to you, buddy.
Nah, I'll see you guys on Tuesday next week. As always, any questions, can always be asked in the comments of the YouTube videos, or in either of the channels, the One Team or the Prisma Team channel. Be more than happy to answer any questions anybody's got. So, again,
Cool.
appreciate it always for everyone that stopped by, asked questions, and hung out with us, get a little more information. So, thanks,
Yep.
guys. See you on Tuesday.
All right. Yep. See you, buddy. See you guys.